Hey guys, my name is Mary and I am the owner of Flip Your Dog Yoga and the inventor of Yegos. So what we're going to do over the next 15 days is 15 days of learning to do handstands. Yay! Everybody loves handstands, right? So let me talk about why I teach handstands, and then I will give a daily release on different exercises and different tasks to try, skill sets to try for handstands. The reason that I teach handstands is not because I actually care whether you ever do a handstand. I teach handstands because I want you to conquer your mind. I want you to conquer the defeating thoughts, the negative thoughts, the scary thoughts that happen the moment you put your hands onto the ground. Because you can replace the word handstand with any other word, you know, doing your own business, inventing something, going for that big goal, whatever it is. You can replace the word handstand, and your brain probably tells you the same thing. I can't do this, I'm not strong enough, I'm gonna fall on my face, all that stuff. So when I look at teaching handstands, I really look at the yoga of teaching handstands, and the yoga of teaching handstands is conquering the mind. And so you'll notice that the moment that you put your hands on the floor, your brain is going to have something to say about these handstands. And that's what we're trying to conquer. So let me give you a first basic cues on handstands and what we're looking for. And then you can expect every day for the next 15 days me to release some fun little video on how to do better handstands. Okay. So let's talk about handstands. Handstands, your hands need to be shoulder distance apart, which tends to be wider than your hips, right? Your hands need to be spread evenly like starfish, not overactive, but evenly spread. You need to make sure that you have pressure through this knuckle and the pad of the thumb rather than overweighting this area. Your hand has what we call a banda, or a lock. It has kind of an arch, right? And so if you put your hand onto the floor in such a way that you're spreading the fingers, but also drawing the base of the fingers back into the palm, it'll create this little suctioned out area, and that's what's connecting with the mat. And so with that being said, when we put our hands onto the mat, we are looking for the ability to keep this whole surface area of my palm together while I pull my fingers strongly away like tarantulas. Why do I do this? Yes, you can keep your fingers flat, but having the ability to have this activation tells me that I've got the pressure in the right points of my hands. And also it gives me strength in the fingers from when I start to go forward and back as my body flows in handstands. Your fingers do not have any muscles at all in them. They're nothing but wires and fat. All the muscles are here. So we're looking to create this nice suction out of your hands. Another thing that happens with men, your center of gravity is in your upper body, so you tend to do inversions better, because guess what? That's where everything is focused when we're upside down, right? So women, we have to focus on really drawing in this solar plex upper ab area, right? And so when we breathe, we're not only thinking about keeping a nice corset here and keeping the low belly sucked in, but we're also trying to keep this as active. Another thing is where you look on the floor. If you are looking between your hands, and I'll do it from here and step back a little bit, right? So if I'm looking through my hands, you can see the the little crick in my neck, and you can see my chest going forward. It's much like I call gymnastics dismount, right? Butt back, chest forward. So what we want is to take the vision so that it would be on the floor just in front of the wrist, not between the hands. That way my head's a little more steady, but I can also look in the floor rather than looking out into the room. So what do we have here? We have the essence of getting our head aligned, getting our hands aligned, and getting our core aligned. One of the things that we want to do whenever we're doing handstands is breathe, and that's another thing that you can focus on when you put your hands on the floor. So today, really super simple. We're going to focus on the thoughts, we're going to focus on our hand placement, and we're going to focus on our upper abs. How do you do that? All right guys, so you can see I've put my mat up against the wall. Let me talk about that real quick. The safety of having the wall there keeps you from flipping over into back bends repeatedly. If you ever did Ashtanga yoga, they always taught you how to do back bends before they taught you how to do inversions, because you weren't allowed to use the wall. But I like you to be able to use the wall to reduce some of the fear and some of the possibility for injury. Remember, you're doing this on your own bits because you think this is fun. So remember what I said. As soon as you put your hands down, your mind is going to have a conversation about what it thinks it should be doing, right? So we're putting our hands down. Remember, shoulder distance, which is wider than our hips. My pinky fingers are fairly close to the edge of the mat on either left or right side. I am also about 6, maybe even more. Let's go back another 9 inches off the wall, because there's going to be a tendency for your whole body to rock forward when you kick up into handstand. Remember, that's the reason I said we needed to have a little curvature and suction cup strength with our hands. So I put my hands down. I'm spreading my fingers wide like starfish, but not overly stretching them. I'm just creating some space. And then from that space, I'm going to feel the base of my fingers suction back in. As soon as I feel the whole circumference of the palm of my hand suction in, it's almost as though I'm trying to pick a tissue up off the mat. Once I feel that, notice how my shoulders drew back, and for most of you, you should start to feel that solar plex place draw back in. So placing the hands down, pull the hips up into down dog, pull whatever leg feels most comfortable up, and then see what your mind has to say about this nonsense. And then we'll stop here for just a second. Those of you who know how to do handstands, look for the other videos. I will have more of a physical or anatomical tutorial. Today is a lot about your brain, right? If you're new to yoga, your brain has a lot to do with what's going on with these handstands right now. So if your mind is saying, I can't do this, if your mind is saying, I don't feel safe, if your mind is saying, this is not going to happen, those are your answers. So we have to change it and make it feel better. The first thing I'd like you to do is, once you come down onto those hands and your brain starts to say things as soon as you lift that leg up, I want you to focus on the words inhale and exhale as you breathe. And maybe you'll put the other leg down and pick the other leg up. Inhale, exhale as you breathe. So most of you have done this 3-legged dog in a yoga class. This isn't a big deal, is it? Right? But it became a big deal because you knew you were going to handstand. So your brain started talking, even though you were only actually in 3-legged dog, right? And that's why I wanted to talk about the wall. You're gonna get to a space where working on the wall is no longer necessary, and you're going to start working out in the room, and you're going to have the same challenges again, because this is truly about conquering the brain. So we know now that you are essentially only doing 3-legged dog, and most of you have done 3-legged dog within a class. You know you can do that. There is no fear. What do we do next? What we do next is we play a little bit. Most people think that they have to start off kicking up into handstand as though they're actually going to do a handstand the first time they do it. You didn't walk the first time you tried to walk when you were little. You're not going to do a handstand the first time. You may be a magical yogi that has granola farts. Who knows? But most likely you're going to flail around like I did. And I did flail around, right? So I'm going to take this leg up. I feel better with my left leg. All I'm doing is taking the left leg to the floor, inhaling it to the sky. Exhaling it to the floor, inhaling it to the sky. Now, as I do this next round, I'm going to lift my standing heel, which also puts a lot more weight
in my hands, right? No big deal. Now, I'm going to give just a little kick and jump, right? Nothing major, just enough to maybe even get those toes off the ground. The reason my toes are coming off the ground is because this left foot is reaching up to the sky. So as much as I can reach the left foot up to the sky, the softer and lighter this right foot's going to lift, right? And so nice and soft, up and down. So you'll do that both sides. The goal is to keep the mind calm and to feel safe. Keep the hands planted and the upper abs in. So that is your first little challenge today. Do it on both sides. When I started doing handstands, I'd just walk around and randomly, all right, I'm trying handstands now. I also taught yoga at the time I started doing handstands, so I had lots of opportunity to teach and try it out. Find a place in your house, clear it out, put your hands down on the floor, conquer your mind, conquer some of those fears, and come back and try another little session. Bye, guys.